Yo, 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 what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessing. Give y'all some time to tune in. Apologies for the kickback earlier. Um, yeah, I was trying to do something earlier, but the weather was not trying to let it happen, y'all. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna give y'all some time to tune in. I'm probably ain't gonna be too crazy tonight. Um, just got one or two questions I want to ask. And I want an honest insight from some of the people. So, first things first. Hopefully, everybody having a blessed and productive Thursday. Hopefully, everybody was smoothly able to get through the work day. Hopefully, your kids was able to smoothly get through the school day. For those in the city, it's starting to light rain again. So make sure you got umbrellas and everything on deck just in case. Those celebrating birthdays this past week, I didn't forget about y'all. Hopefully, all of y'all enjoyed y'all birthdays. Hopefully, all of y'all kept yourself safe. And was able to really enjoy and be blessed and having another birthday year round. Yeah, I know I've been going for the week, y'all, but I'm back. Sometimes y'all gotta learn to do that. Just take that nice little time off or time away. Feel good doing it, but then again, also life be life, and so. Well, appreciate everybody that tuned in last Thursday for the conversation. Definitely was a great one. You know, definitely had some key points. So fire too, baby. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Those that missed it, serious, baby. For those that missed it, y'all could definitely catch last week's replay. Yeah, I know. I know. Time to time, you're gonna get that though, but it's good, and I would suggest a lot of people do that from time to time. Take that time to really re-energize and refresh yourself. Take care of what needs to be taken care of. And then you come back with the content. So, to all the new subs out there, appreciate y'all for rocking out. Even those in the bushes, appreciate y'all for rocking out. Tonight, I just want to ask a quick question. Um, oh, wait. I know. I know. Before I go left, I want to ask a question. Um, for the men and women out there, would y'all allow a young child to starve, or any child to starve for that matter? And I'm not just talking about food though. Rob, what's going on, my guy? See you up in here. A question had to be asked because you always wonder why there are some scenarios that just continuously happen, or why it's almost basically like uh how you want to say it. It's a damn shame to a degree. Um, Looking at the statistics, like we got homelessness on the rise. Remember, but we also have you know children out there who are not properly being fed or have no food at all. Starving children out there, even around the world. Not gonna lie to you, it is kind of like mind-boggling. The smallest things that you can do to change everything in order for it to get better. It's like nobody's really making that genuine push. James, what's going on? BDBGP, what's going on, my guy? That's what I'm saying. It makes you think. Some people spending their frivolous time working over frivolous things. There's real problems that are going on, and not to be funny, for some, it shouldn't take that much but a small little change of heart and a miracle to make certain things, you know, transpire in the right direction. Like I said, I know most of y'all would not let no child go starving. The reason why I'm asking that is because I know there are some situations where you have some places who they ain't giving out the things that they should be giving out, or they could barely give out what they can. So I'm gonna say it like this: in those scenarios right there, especially for those who are trying to get something done in the community, why don't you donate whatever food you know you could donate? It doesn't matter if it's to the church, it doesn't matter if it's to a soup kitchen, whatever. Didi baby, I think that's a good way to start. It's a small little gesture, but it does start. It does go a long way. It's not to be funny. We already know what it is. We got some people who are in destitute situations, if not dire situations. And no child or no family should go starving. I think that's one of the worst problems is when even when you are working or you're trying to do whatever, look at those people who can barely make ends meet. With the prices going up on different things in the supermarket as well, it makes it difficult. In some scenarios, if you are fortunate enough to be somewhere where you could plant or even start growing, you might as well start growing your own garden. I would say that in some instances. There's nothing wrong with trying to get certain things off the ground. At least that's one thing you will have to worry about. And all you got to do is just go to your butcher or your neighborhood supermarket or whatever and try to get what you can get. There's multiple ways to make certain things too, and that's what some people fail to realize. There's multiple ways to make things happen with little or less than nothing. But I also feel in some instances, times are going to get even harder. So what you think you might have ain't going to be holding up. So, it's important, again, to start doing that. When there's food drives, hey, donate some food if you have to. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's a good gesture and a good notion that's coming from the heart. It's something that it needs to be done. You got to look at some of the scenarios. Prime example, when it does come to these young ones who are in those situations, if their family is barely scratching and surviving, or if they don't got no family at all, you got to think about it. Where their next meal coming from? Now you might have some who might try to look out, but then you're gonna have those who can't do but so much. VOM, what's going on, sis? What's going on? What's going on? Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Those that just tuned in, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Appreciate you for dropping those links, serious baby. Working hard in this damn rain out here, baby. And for those in the city again, it might be raining or light raining where you at, so make sure you good. But yeah, you gotta think about it. There are places that you could donate, how they say, perishable foods and all of that. Foods that really can be used. You know, I think it does start with that. The simplest things. Because again, you're gonna have some who might just make it above, and with the way it's looking right now, shoot, no time than a better time to try to donate what you can donate. Like prime example, there are some who donating clothes. There are some places that are still doing like the clothes drives as well too, because that's another thing. It's one thing to be without stuff, or without decent clothes, but it's another thing again when you are starving. So I would say in those instances, for those who feel like that's the best thing to do, keep doing what you're doing. Those that are already doing it, you know, definitely making an impact, even though it's a small impact, still an impact nonetheless. You know, see, I know it can only do but so much, but I would say in some scenarios, in some cases, especially in some of those places where it really is kind of hard to try to keep something on the table. The one thing you should remember is, again, there are times you're going to go through some trials and tribulations through that, but it'll definitely make you a stronger person because you got to think about it. Not everybody going to be down forever. Everybody has gone through some phase or some little stage where they wasn't where they were supposed to be financially, whether they got a family or not. But I would also say, in the same instance, you utilize what you can utilize at all costs. You know, some places are going to have what you need. Some places may not. I don't went around in certain communities and I look at these soup kitchens and stuff. I just want to be, because like I said, everybody does something different. I see in some areas, you know, they getting more than just a hearty lunch. They are definitely going home with a little bit of canned goods, things along those lines, pastas, whatever. The one thing that is tragic that I have seen though is that some of them will disregard and toss away the stuff that they might not need. Now, see, even in that instance right there, if you know you might not need it, that don't mean somebody else might not need it. These are the simple things that some people are taking for granted, and in some notions, it turns out bad for them. So I would say to those people out there, even if you got to do whatever, if it's something that you might not need in that little package, give it to somebody else. You never know who's going to need whatever. And I would say to those who really can donate and do what's necessary to try to push for that little bit of change, you know, make sure you're giving away the right stuff that you might not be able to utilize. You know, think that is important though. You know, but you just got to remember, the goal is to definitely try to make changes where necessary. Now, yes, it is sad that the homeless rate and the homeless population is up, but it also is sad that you have a high number of kids out there who are not, again, properly being fed, probably don't have food, anything that they know they're going to need to survive. And there's so many different scenarios into why that's happening. But I would say for those communities who might have closed down certain things like those soup kitchens or those food drives or pantry drives, I would suggest y'all try to get together, figure out what you can and what you can bring to the table. And then from there, you push and move forward. See, some people feel like you always need outside help to make something happen. No, you just got to have the right people who really will be involved, especially in your communities, and try to make that work. Hence why you have some areas who have what they need to have and some don't. The ones that don't, I think is also sad too, because again, you have some of them who are fortunate enough to donate what's needed, especially again when you ain't using it. And then don't let it go to waste because that's the worst thing. I know with some foods, yeah, you'll be able to make it past expiration dates, I believe, but who want to take that chance anyway? You know, certain certain canned goods like beans, and it doesn't matter what kind of beans in the can. You know, at some point you're gonna have to use them. You know, definitely don't want those to go to the bag. Type of scenarios that you talk about and you think about, it really makes you think. You know, what all could you possibly do? I mean, there's a world full of them who are definitely in that position right there. Can't get the proper anything. You know, but I feel like it's also up to the community to, like I said, bring it together. Figure out how you can fix that problem from the inside out. Appreciate you, sis. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in and rocking out. You know, that's why I said I had to ask that question. Like, how many of y'all would allow any child, I don't care what their age, would you allow them to starve? Would you allow them to go without? Especially when you know you can help out. Surprisingly, you would have some people that say it ain't my responsibility, it ain't none of my concern, which I feel is a messed up attitude in some instances. I mean, yeah, you got to do for you before you can do anything else. But when you know there's things that you are definitely blessed to take care of, why not do it? See, like prime example, if some of y'all complaining about things that are needed or the things that they should be giving out, especially to those who are going through it, then you need to make sure it's a joint effort. Don't just pop out once in the blue. Pop out every day if you have to. For those who are dedicated in doing those type of, you know, tremendous activities, you know, keep doing what you're doing. You know, it does take a lot. Sometimes it might get stressful. Sometimes you might not have what the people need. But the main thing is you still coming through and trying to show up with what you can show up with. But I always feel it's a joint effort, you know. Whatever you know is good, hey, bring it. You know? Even the dry, even the dry goods like the mashed potatoes and things along those natures, and go to somebody and help somebody. Some people again don't know how lucky they got it. And when you do go around and look at some of these scenarios and some of these areas, you know, you can't help but feel bad. But see, these are the type of things that make you think. These are the type of things that bring a healthy conversation out. You know, I know for most of y'all, y'all not gonna allow that to happen because that would be the essential of letting yours start. I think those are the things that, when it comes down to specific politics, um, those are things that should change. You know, you gotta think about it. Some of those kids are not getting what they're supposed to be getting because them and their families can be homeless. Prime example. So wherever they can try to get their meals from, that's basically what it is for them. Yeah, it is a sad look because in some instances, some should not have to dig out of garbage cans or dig out of dumpsters. Like I always felt this too, to a degree. Like some of these restaurants, we talked about this a while back, but some of these restaurants, food chains, and even some of the local, you know, grocery outlets, instead of letting certain things go to waste or hit its expired date, why not try to give them out if you can't get rid of some of it? Shoot, with the money that you do make, you could still make up whatever revenue you might have thought you lost. You know, especially again, there's a lot of things you're wasting throughout the day or throughout the week. I would say on certain days, hey, y'all should have a day where you try to feed the community for the day. That's a start. Like I said, some of these places are so damn lucky because regardless of what they are, still making a sweet chunk of change. So you should be able to take some of those change methods that you are trying to put into your restaurants and actually put some change into bringing more for the community. I think in some instances it will definitely stop or at least put a suppression on to those out there who are suffering and starving. I'm one of those old time optimistic and believers that everybody should have a hot meal and a roof over their head. But in some situations, we see why some of these things are not happening. You know, and with the way things are going in the world right now, it's kind of scary in some instances. So, you could do what you can do, and not just for yourself. But if you're in a space where you could do for more than just yourself, what's so hard with trying to donate to the places that need to be donated to? Donating to the people that need it. I would say, prime example, you're not just feeding the kids who are out there starving, you're also feeding the homeless people who are out there starving. Now, some people may be homeless by choice, others are not. It is a sad day when, again, you are doing so much to change the landscape of the world around us. To it, some people just can't get it right. Some people end up falling in that trap, and it's sad. For some people, it should make you value life a little bit more. You got people who are probably in worse positions, but they'll probably try to do the best they can and try to bring something to the table. I think that's important. And I'm not gonna lie, it's mind boggling because you think that these numbers, especially when you look at the statistics, you think these numbers would at least die down some. And it can. I believe in some instances the reason why things don't happen the way they're supposed to happen is again because people are just not focused and they're not interested. If it ain't got nothing to do with them, forget everything. But it's that exact same attitude I believe that in some instances it's still repeating the same cycle, you know. Because how do you expect some things to change when again you're not providing the access and the tools needed for it? When you know you can actually do you give as much as you can give. You don't have to give everything, but you should be able to give something. Like I said, it's these talks right here that you bring to the people because it's necessary. When you sit back and you just unwind and look at the world around you again, you see that there's so much turmoil out there. You can see it in the people's faces. Everything is rapidly changing, some for the good, some for the bad. You would hope before it gets to a worse point, you would at least say, Enough is enough. Like I said, the numbers game is very important. If you could build the solid numbers for those who could actually do what's necessary, you can see how much change would definitely happen in your community. Shoot, at some point, even worldwide. You gotta think about the people who are meeting their untimely demises too because of scenarios like that. They're not getting the proper nutrition, they're not getting the proper food, they're not getting the basics that they're supposed to have. And I think that when you look at it, the numbers can change drastically. Give what you can. Liz, baby. This is what I'm saying. Is certain people who think that it's a game. Certain people who think that things can't change. Some instances, yeah, it can change. You just really gotta stick with the program. You gotta stick with the overall goal. And if the overall goal is to try to combat or at least stop some of these people from actually losing, then hey, do what's necessary. Because anybody who doesn't have any food, that's a loss right there. You still need some form of nutrition in your life. Keep your body healthy, keep your body, in the right position. And that's why I said, don't take certain things for granted. Because in one instance, it could be you. You never deny people food because guess what? I've always believed that was the worst thing you can do to anybody. That right there take away from whatever blessings you have coming your way. One thing to be aware of though for some people is again just be careful in some scenarios. Like prime example, if you decide you are going to be the one doing it independently, you decide you're going to give out whatever food you might have made and feed whoever in your community that needs to be fed, right? If you're going to deal out of call or whatever the case is, just make sure you're good. Make sure you got everything propped up where you need it so you can set up everything. But just be careful when you unloading and loading. If you're lucky enough to get a food truck or a food stand for that day, hey, do what's necessary. Not gonna lie though, um, these are the things that I feel are important. Why do I feel it's important again? Because why should anybody have to suffer like that? You know, like I said, the worst part of it all is not just the homeless people starving, but you have those kids out there who are starving as well too. And if you can't feed them with food, and I mean physical food, feed them with food of thought, food of knowledge. See, I said I wasn't just going about the physical part of it. Angela, baby. I mean, let's think about it. And I mean, let's really think about this. There are some people out there who are not destitute, who are not starving as far as the physical. They might have all the food in their damn cabinets, right? But do they have food of knowledge and food of thought? See, like I said, it's not just up to the parents to instill that. You have to have the right people within the community, the right people that you trust to definitely give that food of thought. Because I can understand, again, some scenarios you're not going to be around your kids 24/7. But when you are, you make the best of it. You do what's necessary. I think that is important. Again, just strive for the greatest things in life by doing the smallest and the most simplest things in life. That food I was talking about, as far as for the young ones, if it's not physical food, give them that mental food. Giving them that strength and encouragement to know that regardless to what's happening, things will definitely be better. In some instances, it's a test of fate. Other instances, just a test of solidarity. It's giving you a lesson regardless. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to make sure I ain't got no issues. My bad, y'all. Workflow as always, but it's good to give them that constant affirmation, positive affirmations, definitely. It's good to give them food for thought. Let them know that things will be all right. Because you got to think about it. There will be times when you have an abundance of things. There's going to be some times when you don't have an abundance. It's how you maneuver when you don't have the abundance. That's the key to everything. See, you can give the blueprints, right? Or at least show the decent blueprints that are needed. And then let the people do what they're supposed to do. Now, for those who are definitely going to give as far as giving food of thought, food of knowledge, the things that you decide to speak to the people, again, make sure that it's all natural. No shortcuts. Hey, no sugarcoat, nothing. Give them the real deal, but also break it down to them to where they understand. The things that you see, people might not see, but it's still good to, again, let them know what it is. You never know, at some point, it'll come back tenfold. That person will remember exactly what you've done for them, what you've given to them. Marlene, baby, they're going to remember that. And again, that could definitely help you in the long run. That will definitely be a blessing in the long run. In some instances, you never know what people are really going through. Again, you got some people who are fighting foreclosures or barely fighting to stay in a place of residence. But no matter what the scenario is, the one thing again I feel should never happen is the homeless and even the young children out there starving. Where do we go from here? You know, see, I honestly feel when it comes to these type of things, guess what? You know, I can understand what's going on as far as what's transpiring with the economics and everything else. But for the things that you know you do have, like I said before, you let it go to waste. Donate it where it's necessary. Donate it where you think it may be needed. For some people, y'all throwing away even baby formula. Donate that somewhere where it's important. Somebody might need that. See, I think about a little bit of everything. You know, you got to think about those who have children and they might be going through those certain circumstances. If y'all could donate either the cans of milk or the dry milk, might as well, especially if you don't need them. You know? I know things financially ain't where it should be, but in some instances, when you know you can, even if it's the smallest, the smallest donation, smallest gesture, I think that's the best way to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, you think about the lives you may be changing, even if it is for that moment. But also, again, just know and read certain things because you do have some people out there also who are lying and scamming, trying to hit you with that I'm homeless or I'm hungry, and then they ain't doing what they supposed to do with it. That's another thing to be careful about too, I would say for some of y'all. But if you're gonna donate anything, donate anywhere where you know it's legal, and donate where you know for a fact it's gonna actually go to good use. Those, that the amount of food that's being wasted could actually feed somebody. What's going on, my guy? I mean, you gotta think about it. With these, with these scenarios and these corporations, the amount of food that really is being tossed away could actually be going to good use. I know it's some food, yeah, you must try to consume and do whatever within a certain time frame. But for the things you could donate, like even the frozen things you might not even really be utilizing. I think that's a star right there too. You know? I know everybody's struggles is different. But in that same notion, you gotta think about this as well too. It still doesn't justify that we have people out here who are suffering who can't get a decent meal. Or when they do get decent meals, you know, to some degree it ain't sufficing. I would say for a lot of y'all that you wanna do all these cookouts and everything else, shoot. What's so hard about you trying to do something good for the community? And my goodness, it's starting to rain, y'all. It's starting to pour down at this mug. It should be a smooth night. Let's see, y'all. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, even if it ain't much, it's still something. You know, for most people, you should feel good about that. You know that you've done your part, definitely know that you probably put some smiles on some faces, and that's the most important thing. But you already know, James. I ain't doing nothing no time soon. I was about to in a little bit, but Sean, you know what? Ain't gonna do that. It's those simple things that we take for granted. But imagine if all of us was in that type of scenario. How would you react? Would you be willing to try to give or try to help with what you have? Just questions, overall great questions that need to be asked. You know, no, I don't. I don't need none of that antifreeze you're trying to put down over here in the chat. I'm good. I'm good. Stick with my motor oil, Angela. Stick with my motor oil. Oh no, no doubt, no doubt. Rock shit. It'd be nice if it dropped past 70, but it's still in the 70s right now. But nonetheless, I think we needed this rain. And I notice when it comes to some scenarios, and type of rain coming anyway. Maybe it's just a fluke, or maybe that's just something powerful as far as the message is concerned. I mean, what's the point, man? You have to act simple. Um, Now, some scenarios, you know, when it comes down to the homelessness, right? Now, in some areas and some parts of the city, see they making a lot of these apartment buildings and complexes, some for the homeless veterans or the veterans, and they making it for the either low income or affordable situation. In other scenarios, you see a lot of the shelters that would be for the homeless people are definitely shutting down. It's a lot to think about. You know, it really doesn't take much. Those was appreciated. Yeah, no, that's a whole fact, sis. Like I said, it don't take much to try to make the smallest changes and impact. Because again, you never know who's going to do it. And I think it's important to do so. Because again, it's just the humanity. It's the good spirit right there. If you can try to do what's necessary, do it. You know, it ain't gotta be all extravagant. It ain't gotta be all wild crazy. But you know, do what you can do. You know, once you get into that motion of play, guess what? You'll be surprised. Be surprised what good of a difference you'll make. And again, you'll never have to worry about certain scenarios because those people will definitely appreciate everything you've done. And it might be your luck. Those people don't be down for long. Yeah, like prime example, I used to give away certain things back in the day. I know I didn't need it, especially if it was clothes. If I ain't need it, hey, if I couldn't fit it, whatever the case was, hey, donate it. Whether it's within the hood or shoot, I donate it to somewhere where it need to be donated to. Like I know the churches might need it. A lot of those how you want to call it, them closed containers and closed bins definitely would take them. And like I said, you give the things that you know you can give. And if you're doing it, do it from the spirit. Don't just do it for some form of recognition, and definitely don't do it just because you think you want to get something out of it. What you should get out of it is some good enrichment of the soul for you doing something that you know for a fact you didn't necessarily have. That you're not selfish, but that you're selfless when it comes to these scenarios. Geraldine, baby. Nah, I hear you, Rob. Like I said, it's just good for the spirit to do what you can do. Do what is necessary for those who in the downtimes or the most unfortunate. Again, you're gonna have those who are gonna be thankful and be happy that you've done so. But I think that it's critical though. For some of y'all, especially those who really want to see a change, you can be a part of that change. You gather up what you can gather up and you bring it to the table. You try to do something, whether you could do it once a week, twice a week, doesn't matter. But just know when you're doing it, hey, you try to give what you can. If you got clothes that you know don't fit, clothes that you just letting sit there and collect dust, clothes that are in good condition, don't just put no throwaway rags in there. Put the things that you know for a fact are still good and still wearable. Even down to the book bags. Those are things you know you could donate them. Like I said earlier about the foods and all of that. Oh shoot. My bad, serious baby. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? My bad. I almost did connected to my earbuds. My bad. My bad. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yes. But think about that. You know, the simplest things you do to help another who's in need, that's a good thing. You're adding something to that person. I'll be honest with you. Like I said earlier, if you can't feed them physically, feed them mentally, feed them spiritually if you can. For those who might be on somewhat of a decline, just remember that things could always be far worse. You still have time to make things work. You still have time to turn things around. The main goal is again focusing with what you have. Now, for some that need to hear it, if you could spend crazy money ordering out food, right? You could donate some of that same money to actually helping out and helping with these places who definitely need the food. I give a good example. Why would I spend $600 a month? And shout out to Marlene because you had me thinking about that. Why would I spend $600 a month on just takeout food when I could have spent that same $600 trying to do something a little bit more practical? I hear you, Geraldine. That's what I'm saying. We all have different purposes. Whether we believe it or not, we do all serve a purpose. What we can't do on the physical, we could do on the spiritual. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. That's why I say you donate what you can, you do what you can do. You can't save everybody, I know, but you can make an impact to those who necessarily in need of it. In some instances, if you know you could try to help somebody, especially get out of whatever situation, you try your best, especially if that person is willing to do what's necessary, you know. Because again, not everybody is messed up by choice. Some people just had a hard time and now they trying to recoup and regroup. And it's hard to do so right now, especially with the way times and the way things are changing now. You know? That's what I'm saying, you know. Oh no, I know Marlene. I was just talking about that earlier too though. That's what I'm saying. You donate where you know it's reputable and it's gonna go to where it's supposed to go to. You know. There are some churches who actually take they won't take money, but they'll definitely take clothes and food, especially those who still again implement those soup kitchens and those little food drives or clothes drives. Even some of them are doing toy drives. Like I said, I think that's important too, especially those toy drives from the young ones who really can't afford it. Like I said, the simplest little thing you try to donate that counts. It does help. But you also got to remember too, you got to be careful because even with some of the places who are doing good, you have people who would do the things that they don't need to do. Like I say, if you know you don't need these things, you're not in a tight bond, don't sit here and try to just overdo it. And don't sit here and try to take out of somebody who could definitely use it or definitely be in need of it. Because that's the worst and the most selfish thing you can do. Like, if you know you don't need the extra food, why still go? I've seen some people do that shit too. You just did a whole bunch of shopping and here you can't even fit nothing else in where you need to fit it at. You just trying to go elsewhere and get more. You have to be practical. You have to be justified. You have to be justified as far as getting what you need. But you also got to be satisfied with what you got. Don't overdo it just because you think you can. There are some people out there who, again, taking advantage and being selfish. That little bit you take could have went to somebody or went to a family that definitely needed it. Keith, what's going on, my guy? And greed is one of the worst things. If you are fortunate enough, again, to have enough in abundance, don't try to take away from those who don't. You could feed kids in the community that are hungry, and with that word, give back to the churches. Yeah. Oh, look here, my fault. Yeah, I'm catching up with the chat. I'm multitasking too. You figure certain people would go home while it's raining, but apparently they still want to play games out here. So I gotta. But this is what I'm saying, y'all. I mean, how hard is that to do? All right, you know what? I'm gonna do this on a certain day. I'm gonna make sure I got enough of what I need and what I could definitely give out. And that's it. There are some of y'all who, again, know y'all could donate more than what you donate, but you refuse to. But again, in my opinion, it's kind of selfish to do so. If I know prime example what I can do for the community, when I do that, think about it, everybody needs sun. For those who are struggling to eat that should be able to have that. Like in some scenarios, you see some places they do Tuesdays and Thursdays. They'll be giving out whatever, right? You could be doing that same thing. Again, you don't need no outside help. You don't really need a whole bunch of. Just deal with what you can deal with for now. Like I said, the blessings come tenfold. The more you keep doing, the more you keep implementing. Trust me, the more lives you probably can change. The more people you probably can inspire. And I think that's important again. Trying to inspire those who need it. You know? Yeah, just something I had to bring out tonight. Definitely just wanted to chime in with the people. Like I said, I know I've been going all week, but I wasn't too far away. Yeah, I know how to do it. And you got to be in the right mind state too when you bring in some of these topics because again, it hit different. I've seen people who have gone through it, know people who have survived a lot of it. Like I said, it hit different. And especially when you see where these people have came from and how they was able to just stand strong and survive no matter what. You know? That should be a good feeling for most. You know, trying to help out where you can. You can't always help out as far as money, but you can help out in multiple different ways. When you see certain people are going through the struggle way, you try to offer the best help that you can, but also give them inspiration and give them hope that things will definitely change on the up and up. Appreciate you, my guy. You already. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in and who's been coming in and out. Appreciate those in the bushes. I'll be honest with you. In some instances, you try not to shed a tear because, again, these are the things that you would hope change at some point. Again, it does take the smallest movements to make a positive impact, but it can also shift the culture. And that's what I'm saying. It's about time we really try to focus on the things that can be changed from the inside out. Shut up, phone. My fault. That's why I had to propose that question again tonight. Do you feel you will be able to allow somebody to starve? How would you go about trying to change that scenario? Are you going to be able to feed those that actually need to be fed on both levels? You know, I ain't gonna lie though. Again, it feels great when you can do something, even if it is that small. You gotta have a certain amount of compassion and also a certain amount of love to do those things from the kindness of your heart. And it ain't easy at times, you know. But even when you're not feeling your best, if you're doing something that's constructive and positive, you just keep pushing forward and keep doing it. And again, your blessings will come tenfold. For those who are knowledgeable in information and could be passing the information along, I feel it's about time that you do so. For those who already been doing it, continue to keep doing what you need to do. You know, definitely keep your spirits high and keep on reaching for that ladder of success. There's multiple ways to get to a better place. It just takes the right foundation, the right people, and the right spirit to do it. For those who are willing to donate, hey, I would suggest you donate where you need to. Let the people know that you do care. Some people will feed the most ungrateful people before they feed people who actually need it. And I think that's a problem as well too. Like I said, there's some people that will take away from those who actually need it. And I think we also need to make sure that that's not happening. You know, again, come together on the right senses of. But yeah, you know, it's just a quick conversation with the people tonight. Like I said, question has been posed. Would you allow them to suffer? Would you be able to look yourself in the mirror knowing you can't help and you choose not to? It's a good question. Me, prime example, I do what I can do, even if it is just having these healthy talks and conversations. I'm doing my part. The goal is not just to give inspiration where it's needed, but to try to, again, push for changes when it comes down to how we think and how we try to utilize what we do have as far as resources. How can we get back to a better function when we ain't trying to function together? need key critical components to make everything work. We have some of the components, but the components keep falling apart. We know some of the reasons why. But we could be that super glue to some of the problems that we know we can fix. Almost everybody who isn't going to feel the effect of it should be the ones that are willing to try to help the cause. Uh, like I said, do whatever good you can do. You know, when you read the scenarios and you read everything, guess what? You'll see that if you're making the right decisions, especially within your life, you could possibly help others in more than one way. I would like to think I'm helping the people, bringing something good as far as a great conversation, some healthy, thought-provoking conversations. Oh, you know, look here, Geraldine. This is what it is. Um, I'm not scared to have the conversations that some people don't want to have. And some people who are having these conversations where you think it's going to be something healthy and something building, or people actually like participating, it turns to all out circus. Like prime example, if we're coming together to try to correct some situations that we know we can correct, how we gonna get there when we arguing, screaming, and we disagreeing? I mean, we could disagree on certain things, but we got to remember the main goal. The main goal is to try to fix the main problem. We can't fix it if we arguing, if we disagreeing with each other, if we cursing at each other, you know, things of that nature. Can't get nothing done like that. You know, you have to be able to come to the table and leave your emotions to the side. As much as you want to involve them, in some instances, trust me, it doesn't help. It only hurts the problem even more. You know? No doubt, Angela, appreciate you, baby. Good, how many kids, and got exactly, James. You know, we don't think about those situations. Again, we got people who are suffering. We got people who could actually use that little bit of help. And if you can help them, hey, try to do what's necessary. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying to help suppress that situation as far as the homeless starving and the kids out here starving. See, this is the type of awareness, you know, that you have to bring. Because again, the goal is critical thinking. How can we fix these situations if we all not trying to be a part of actually putting our boots straight on these grounds and doing what's necessary? Again, no kid should ever have to suffer or worry about going to bed without having something to feed their stomachs. And again, it's another thing to make sure they're not getting the actual food of knowledge that they need as well too. So these are the things we got to remember. You know, the people that we can help today will definitely turn back and give back the blessing tenfold at some point, whether you need it or not. That's why I love coming here and having these real thought provoking conversations. You know, even to my shadow clan out there. Y'all know how I give it up. You know, it's always great to involve the people, especially in some of the problems that you are trying to solve. Can we stop world hunger? It depends. It depends on how we assess the situation and actually what we do in the situation. I'm optimistic when it comes to certain things. I believe there are some things that can at least suffice, or we could get to a better place of. But again, it does take the people. For some, it's time for y'all to start showing that you're not selfish and that you actually do want to see the correct changes. Again, you never know. You might have a scenario where those same people turn back on you, and they could be turning back something good. Like I said, we've had a lot of success stories over the time frame. Larry, what's going on? What's going on? That's a whole fact, James. Whole fact. You know? 1 second. Let me drop the link. Drop the link in case anybody want to chime in. Like I said, wasn't going to be too crazy tonight. But I did want to have that conversation with y'all. Like, what's the best ways to try to stop those scenarios from happening? How can we get back to those in need? What steps would you take to do so? You said shadow huggers don't. Very serious said shadow babies. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Seeing conversations like this should automatically get likes. The reason why I say that is because we're having a great dialectical conversation, and it is important. What's necessary for development and growth on all levels. Come on now, serious. Hey, no doubt, sis. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Blackout, what's going on, my guy? My bad, y'all. Yeah, it did get a little windy out this morning, but it stopped raining again for now. I think it might rain again. Let's see. Let's see, y'all. Let's see. But this is what I'm saying. It's important to do that. It's important to make sure that the right people are getting the things that they need in order to succeed. For those who are not suffering as far as food is concerned, they might need some form of guidance. And if you can guide them in the right direction at least, and let them do the rest of what they can do, you never know what can transpire. So, you are able to feed those who definitely need it. They get also a blessing in life. And it also, again, inspires them to give some hope that things are not that lost, that things can actually change for the positive. It gives hope to humanity. Some people have actually lost hope in it. Humanity is only lost because, again, we choose to worry about self all the time. Sometimes it is good to think about others. Like I said, it can change. I mean, it can, but again, people gotta be dedicated to doing something. Like they said, don't talk about it, be about it. And I think it's time for a lot of y'all to be about it. If you could donate what's necessary, donate it. If you could help out in any way, shape, or form, like I said, even if it is just knowledge and wisdom and giving them some form of a blueprint to get where they need to get to, hey, do it. The most positive stories that we have heard of, trials and tribulation have come from people who were able to donate or people who were able to help out somebody when they know for a fact they was going to need it. And look how successful they turned out. Look how much has changed. Look how much growth that they have attained. We can get a step closer. But again, we gotta want it. You know, another thing I was gonna cover, but I might cover that tomorrow. Different scenario, but you know, definitely wanted to get the views of the people. You know, for those who might actually come across this message, who might actually hear this, for those who might be going through it again, just remember things in life could be a whole lot worse. Try to make do with what you can make do with, but also don't be afraid to accept the help that comes. You know, love, baby, baby. You already know if y'all just tuned in, hit the like button. If y'all new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. For those who are able to help in any way, shape, or form change your life, continue to do that thing and keep on remember that them blessings all come. It's critical. It's critical now more than ever that we start taking the perfect steps into changing some of these things that we know are making people suffer. Like I said, if you can help them with knowledge of investments, knowledge of a blueprint that's going to help them in some operation or any occupation, try to do so. And if you are in a position where you could try to help somebody, even if it is just obtain appointment, do so. There's nothing wrong with that. Like right now, I'm trying to incorporate something as we speak. And hopefully, if everything goes right, I know that I have done something right. Like I said, trying to get two people to work where I'm working right now. And if everything goes smoothly, I know I feel comfortable and happy that I was able to give an opportunity. There are some of you who are blessed and fortunate enough to change certain scenarios, and you just don't know it. I say utilize everything that's necessary around you. But yeah, you know, I believe this conversation was definitely needed. You know, and again, hopefully, some people have gotten the message. You know, you can definitely change a lot with a little. We don't always need a lot to change a lot. Give me 1 second, y'all. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. Appreciate everybody that rocked out. I think the link is still in the chat in case anybody do want to chime in, because I feel that's the best method. Best method to change is having the conversations that are important and having the conversations that can be game changers. Like I said, donate to churches, donate to people within your community, even if you can't donate to the nearest churches, or start your own. Start your own drives. For some people, if you got things and items that you ain't using or they not of value, hey, yard sale. Nothing wrong with that. The smallest things again you do to help, it will definitely cause the right type of change. Our church nurse ministry. I hear you, Geraldine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, the smallest things that help within your community. You know, sometimes that's all you got to do is donate your time and effort. You know, it shouldn't hurt you to do so. What time and effort you do give, you could possibly be changing the course of somebody's life or somebody's, situation. You never know. I appreciate you, serious baby. Yeah, I gotta give it up for the hardest working person up in here right now. You know, and I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that's again been a part of this journey, been a part of these great conversations, still becoming a great part of these conversations. That's what we gotta do. We gotta build, right? And the best way to build is building the foundation strong and solid. You know, and these conversations definitely help because I know at some point there's somebody right now that's having the same thought or almost having the same thought. What better way to try to change some of the things we can change if we take the little steps to do it? Like I said, some people feel you have to have a whole abundance of things to make something happen or to make somebody's life change. Nah, you don't need much. You know, like I said, what you can't give physically, you give mentally and spiritually. Not just food of knowledge, but food for the soul as well too. Sometimes all it takes is the right type of motivation, encouragement from a person, even if it's a complete stranger, to change things around. Some people may not believe it, but most people who have seen it know that's exactly what the case is. You might have given somebody inspiration to change whatever situation they are in, or fight even harder to get out of those situations. Some people just be in a broken, sunken place, and they might fall. But then again, it's about rising back up to the occasion. Life is going to be hard in some instances. Life is going to throw you some of the worst curveballs ever. But remember, probability is you will knock a lot of those curveballs either out the park or at least knock it away from you. If you know you are able to do what's necessary, continue to do so. Again, you never know whose life you might be changing. You never know what spark and creation could come out of that. You know, like I said, I think tomorrow I'm gonna bring this next conversation. And like I said, when I have some of these talks, I gotta take some time to process a lot of different things. Not so much as just the knowledge or just the information, but I gotta be in the right spot because again, some of these things that make you think, how can the world be so damn cruel? Or how can people in the world be so damn cruel? Well, like what mindset do you have that you could do some of the things that are just plain despicable and can't be justified? That's why I said tomorrow I'm gonna definitely have that conversation. I'll definitely be way more alert, and I'll definitely be on point with that conversation as well too. But again, hopefully everybody did enjoy their week. Hopefully everybody had a blessed weekend. I know some of y'all about to come into the weekend. I think it's Libra season now. So, I hope that all of y'all take the time out and again enjoy every moment of your birthdays. Another year, another blessing around the sun. Definitely embrace and be thankful for every moment that you are breathing. Hopefully, you'll have another year of solidarity, another year of prosperity, another year of peace. I think this conversation be necessary sometimes. Like I said, there are some things we know is just for shock value and entertainment, but these conversations ain't one of them. And I appreciate everybody who has been a part of it. Corey, what's going on, baby? It's been a minute, sis. Hope all well with you. You gotta think about it. The best ways to eliminate some of the situations when it comes down to even that, you know, is trying to help and trying to make sure that somebody gets in a better place, a better mind state. You know, some people might be down for a little bit, some people might not be down for long. The goal is to make sure they don't fall down a path to where they feel they can't do no greater. They're always going to be able to inspire and do greater things no matter what your scenario or situation. You're always going to find yourself out of a situation because you're utilizing the one most important key of your body that's the most important tool for your survival. Thinking. Your mind will always be the key to everything. You have to not just think it and wish it into existence, but you also have to start doing the necessary works to get there. But yeah, definitely just wanted to chime in with the people. Like I said, it's been an interesting week. While I was taking that time off, like I said, just observing a lot of different things. And hence why I say the conversations that I have, they are thought provoking. But hopefully they do lead to some form of change. Whether it's local or global, shouldn't matter. Point is, we definitely need to get back to strengthening up what we need to strengthen up, y'all. Abundance of love, but also an abundance of food on both levels. And for those who are given as far as the abundance of the emotional growth, the food for thought, the thought provoking conversations, everything that's included with trying to build a better construct for the people and better changes for their lives. Keep doing what's necessary, y'all. Keep pushing that message and keep pushing that fight. No matter how you decide to give to those people, as long as you give them what's right. I feel tonight was a great conversation again. And I'll definitely reiterate on it. Tomorrow's conversation, though, is going to be a little bit more hard hitting. And I would say for those, I'm fairly warning you, it could be trigger warning. So if you feel it's something that you can't get down with, I completely understand. See, that's the one thing. You know, I'm going to bring you some form of a great conversation no matter what. Because again, you got to get to not just thinking, but doing. And making sure that things can at least be a little bit better for the future generations. When you are able to do something good for somebody else, no matter what it is, it's almost like a goodwill that you have placed on your conscience. You know that you was able to do something and help out. It definitely does feel good to do so. We all need a boost in life. If you don't have the vital components, you will spiral to a different position. That's a whole fact, serious whole fact. Again, the goal is for a lot of y'all, try to help inspire where you can. We could take a lot, but we could also give a lot. You know, make sure we give an abundance of things that are needed to those who actually do need it. And just make sure that the people who actually are taking it will actually put it to good use. You know? That's a whole fact. And that's why it was great to have this conversation tonight. I'll definitely have the link pinned. I'm trying to see what time I'm gonna schedule this live, y'all. Like I said, when you do the little things, you see bigger, more positive results. You know? And for those who need to hear this too, appreciate what you do have. Don't take nothing for granted again. Because you could have it today and it could be all gone tomorrow. No, that's a whole fact, serious. You already know that. See, the ones who just continuously take and don't give back some way, somehow, they'll feel it at some point. Especially again when they know they could help. Or they know they got enough to help. The givers are always going to give you something no matter what it is. For some people, they'll give you their last. And that's something that you should take into consideration. That regardless to what's going on and what life has been throwing people, you're always going to have those who will come in a clutch when you least expect it. The goal is to just decipher who is deserving of the help. But if you know there are people who are deserving of it, just do not hesitate to help them. But yeah, like I said, light conversation tonight. I mostly want to chime in with y'all though. It feels good to always bring some form of a great conversation to the people, especially those who are watching. You're gonna have those who, again, won't focus on the message at hand because they worried about the messenger. The message should be more loud and clear and more important than anything else. You might not like what I said. You might not like the fact I'm the one that's saying it. But these are the things that you need to accept. And we have to accept the fact that, again, we are blessed in multiple ways and in more ways than some are. And we know we can try to do our best to help those in need. Shouldn't be no issue about it. It should just come from the spirit because you know it's right. You know. No, it's a whole fact, serious. You know. Like I said, it don't take much to give. It also don't take much to take neither. But at some form or at some point in your life, you got to be able to balance it out. You could give as much as you can take, and you can take as much as you can give. The bars might go over some people's heads, but some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, again, it's the little things that count more than anything. We can end world suffering as far as the hunger is concerned, but are we willing to do so? Just a question for tonight. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in, definitely. Again, for those celebrating birthdays this week, we did not forget you. Hold on, we got you. again, hopefully y'all enjoy special days, special weekends. And again, enjoy every moment. Be thankful and be blessed that you're able to spin around the world again. We got people who didn't make it. We had people we lost during the beginning of the year. We might have people we might be losing before the year's out. So again, for those who are that fortunate enough to wake up every day, like I said, do not hesitate to take your time to give praises where it's due. The most important things to remember, you know. I think it's those simple things that actually keep us here long. So enjoy every moment of your life. Try to do what you can do in life. Try to leave the best footprints for the future. EPP, what's going on? I ain't gonna hold y'all all night. Tomorrow I will give you a detail though. Um, it was something I was talking about in one of the previous lives, and I also asked the question of how would y'all feel if you found out that within your community there were certain things that were going on, especially with the youth, things that you know for a fact is morally wrong. We're gonna definitely have that conversation, and again, it can be a trigger warning for some. But this also is a safe space for you to come through and give your thoughts and opinions. And I'll have the link pinned definitely. So in case anybody want to chime in on the convo, y'all know what it is. Appreciate everybody that's been a part of the conversation, still becoming a part of the conversations and the bills. And we still gonna keep continuing to rock out. You know. Appreciate all people who have been a part of these thought provoking conversations. Appreciate all my shadow mafia and my shadow babies. Y'all know what it is. Appreciate all my mods, including the most hardest working one. And I look forward to keep bringing raw and uncut topics. You know. But the question for tomorrow's live, I might as well pose tonight. How would you feel if you found out there was a brothel going on within your community and there's youth that's involved in it? Things we need to talk about. You know, things that I feel again could start to some form of a revolutionary push. There are some unspoken evils out there, and again, we got to start correcting. In order for a shift to change the way we need it to, we have to be got to be hell bent on making them changes, and also standing for what's right. So I'll definitely have that conversation tomorrow. I appreciate y'all for rocking out. I still got a couple of minutes left. I still got a couple of minutes. So hold on, I got you. I got you. For my drill steppers out there. Yeah, don't worry. Uh, don't worry, y'all. I'm trying to finagle something. I got some more coming. I got some more coming. And I know some of y'all been missing the AI drops during the live stream. Don't worry. I'm gonna figure all of that out too. For Chicago, baby. Again, appreciate all of y'all for tuning in though. And again, hopefully somebody did get something out of this conversation for real. Can we end hunger? I believe so. Can we make a difference? We can, but that's solely if we choose to. If we keep allowing certain demonstrations and politics to keep us divided and separated, we're never going to fix the problem at hand. You know, but I understand in some scenarios there are some things that will never change because that's how it's structured to be. But for the things that can be altered and be changed, let's try to at least do that. You know? Like I said, every little bit counts. And if you're fortunate enough to do what's necessary, be that push and that step and change. You know, no matter what you do to try to help somebody that's in need of it. Again, love every moment of it. Continue to keep doing it. You'll be surprised how many lives you really do change. And that's the most important thing, yo. Change, I appreciate you, sis. Like I said, there are some people who are going to tune in for the nonsense, the drama, and the entertainment, right? That's all bread and gravy, but I'd rather keep the conversations the way I need to keep them. Because these conversations, again, will at some point lead to some form of real change. Change that the world does need. We could argue or we could get crazy over minute things. But the things that we know we could actually change and be a part of changing should be the most important steps. But yeah, one thing I would say, I'm not going to have to go but so far out of reach just to have a conversation with the people. Yeah, I know how I give it up. It doesn't matter how many people tune in. It doesn't matter how many people are actually being involved in the conversation. The most important part is the message getting out. I appreciate everybody who has been sharing me out. But I'm also say for some of my ghost watchers out there, it'd be nice to see y'all pop in the chat once in the blue. Just to let me know that everything is all right. Because, hey, you are an important part of this journey in life. And this journey of life right here that I'm on is a solid but different journey. The journey to trying to help people get back to thinking and utilizing what needs to be utilized so we can see a better tomorrow. I might be too optimistic in some areas, but it doesn't hurt to do so. If we keep allowing the negative thoughts, if we keep allowing the negative press to keep doing certain things, then we ain't gonna never be able to break whatever cycles we know can be broken. Cycle of homelessness and the cycle of people out there starving, it should change. And it can change. So again, for those who know they're able to donate, feel free to do so. But I ain't gonna hold y'all much longer. It's time for me to get up out of here. But I appreciate everybody that rocked out tonight. And, like I said, tomorrow we'll have this conversation. I'll have the link pinned. And again, trigger warning for those who might be trying to be into the conversation. It's good to try to get the best type of conversations and the best type of ideas and solutions. For every problem, there will be a solution. It's about putting that into motion. So, appreciate everybody that rocked out. Let me get my ass up out of here. Don't worry. I'll set the time for tomorrow. I'll set the time. It could be an afternoon live. It could be an evening one, but I appreciate everybody that rocked out and tuned in. And I see some of y'all running around these streets. The rest of y'all enjoy your evenings. I already know it's morning across seas. Everybody that's 12 hours ahead. Happy afternoon to you, or happy morning to you. To all the future babies out there. I still need my lottery numbers for tomorrow, today. So help me out, help me out. Yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here though. If y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout outs to the replay game. Shout outs to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. And for everybody that was in attendance tonight, you already know that love is love and it'll be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I can do is give you real. That's all I'm gonna do is give you real topics and real builds. And again, for those who might just be tuning in or late to the chat, definitely rewind this replay. But also make sure y'all sharing that out. Can't get the messages out if you're not willing to share it out. Just remember that is important regardless to what. It ain't about the messenger. It's about the message. I think that's something that we need to get back to. Don't you mean no coffee cups in the chat? No coffee cups in the chat? Bring all the coffee cups, James. I'm co-signing today. And I'm going to co-sign this too. Go. No spamming in the chat. Oh, Lord. There y'all go starting y'all madness. Don't worry, y'all. Give or take. Don't worry. I'll be back with this conversation tomorrow. And maybe next week. Maybe next week, y'all. Maybe next week. Let's see how I feel. Could be implementing something else good for the night. So, you know. You never know when it comes to me, but trust me. You're going to always have a great conversation and a great time. So, appreciate y'all for rocking out. Wait a minute. I forgot something. One more again, y'all. But y'all stay safe. Keep that third eye open. And until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.